Kamoto family. Muzan's biggest mistake here was not finishing the job properly. This was one of the most pointless deaths in the entire series, honestly. Yet it perfectly set the tone for what a monster Muzan really was. He didn't come with a grand plan or strategy. He simply appeared at the Kamoto home and butchered them, injecting his blood into their bodies in a desperate gamble to create a demon that could withstand the sun. But here's the irony. That single act planted the seeds of his own downfall. If Muzan hadn't attacked the Kamoto family, Tanjiro would have never become a demon slayer. And if he had shown up just a little later, he could have killed Tanjiro outright, ending the threat before it even began. Instead, his impulse set fate into motion, and that mistake would eventually cost him everything. The lower ranked demons. Even the lower moons weren't prepared for just how cruel Muzan could be. When Muzan learned that Rui had been killed, he was furious. He summoned all the lower ranked demons to the Infinity Castle, demanding to know why they were so weak. One by one, he executed them. Kamanue was the first, punished simply for thinking the wrong thought. He hadn't realized Muzan could read minds. Mukago came next, killed for denying her fear of the demon slayers. Wakuraba tried to run, but escape only cost him his life. Rokuro begged for mercy, asking for more blood, but instead he was killed for daring to instruct Muzan. Only Enmu remained. He welcomed death with open arms. Muzan spared him and even gave him more of his blood, making him stronger than ever. Kyojuro Rengoku. Though he fell, Rengoku's actions left a lasting mark on Tanjiro and the others. Rengoku, the final flame Hashira, had just finished a fierce battle on the Mugen train, protecting all 200 passengers without losing a single life. But when it seemed like things were finally calm, Akaza, Upper Moon 3 appeared. Rengoku immediately sprang into action, engaging him in a brutal fight. Though they were evenly matched in the beginning, Rengoku's injuries kept piling up while Akaza kept regenerating. Finally, after both of them used their strongest moves, Akaza pierced Rengoku's chest. But even with such a devastating wound, Rengoku didn't give up. He tried to decapitate Akaza while holding him in place with his other hand, forcing Akaza to tear his own arms off to escape. In the end, Rengoku's injuries were too severe. Before passing, he praised Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu for their efforts before quietly succumbing to his wounds. Daki and Gyutaro. Even as Daki fell, her brother's emergence showed that defeating Upper Moons was never simple. They were demon siblings who shared the position of Upper Rank 6. Tanjiro first encountered Daki and tried to fight her, but she was far too strong. He could barely make a dent. Just as he was about to be killed, Nezuko jumped in to fight, but near the end of the battle, she became distracted and almost attacked a human, forcing Tanjiro to intervene. That's when Tengen appeared, cutting off Daki's head in a single swift strike, and even told her she wasn't truly worthy of being an Upper Moon. But it wasn't over. Daki cried out for her brother, and Gyutaro emerged from her body. What followed was a furious battle. Despite being poisoned, Tengen fought relentlessly alongside Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro, even losing an arm in the process. In the end, they managed to defeat the siblings. Tanjiro and Tengen cut off Gyutaro's head while Inosuke and Zenitsu simultaneously decapitated Daki. Kokushibo. He abandoned his humanity in the name of power, only to see the reflection of the monster he had become. Kokushibo was Yoriichi's younger brother, the man who created moon breathing. But unlike his brother, Kokushibo couldn't accept being second best. His jealousy consumed him, and in his desperation to surpass Yoriichi, he became a demon. When he first encountered Muichiro, the Mist Hashira didn't stand a chance. Kokushibo overwhelmed him easily and even tried to convince him to abandon humanity and become a demon. But before he could finish him off, Genya appeared and tried to fight. Kokushibo cut him down just as effortlessly, and it looked like Genya's end until Sanemi arrived, stepping in to save his younger brother. Sanemi and Kokushibo clashed, with Sanemi suffering brutal injuries, but his rare blood distracted Kokushibo, buying just enough time for Gyomei to join the battle. Soon, all four, Sanemi, Gyomei, Genya, and the badly wounded Muichiro were fighting together against the Upper Moon 1. Genya, having eaten Kokushibo's hair, and even part of his flesh katana, awakened a bizarre blood demon art that let him fire vampiric binding trees from his shotgun. He managed to restrain Kokushibo, but the demon burst free by sprouting countless blades from his body. Even then, Muichiro managed to turn his sword red while he was lodged in Kokushibo. At the same moment, Sanemi and Gyomei landed a perfectly timed strike, decapitating him. with blades that glowed red from clashing together. But Kokushiba didn't fall. He refused to die, and transformed into a grotesque, monstrous form. It was only when he caught a glimpse of himself in Sanemi's blade, finally seeing the twisted creature he had become, a realization crept in. His body began to collapse, and for the first time he questioned if this was truly what he wanted. With that thought, Kokushiba finally crumbled away. The Temple Demon. Really, the only reason this demon had to die was so Tanjiro could prove himself. This was the first demon Tanjiro faced after Nezuko had been turned. Nezuko actually kicks its head off, and Tanjiro made sure it got stuck to a tree, but he couldn't finish it off himself. As he stood there with a rock in hand ready to strike, the sun rose and turned the demon into dust for Tanjiro. Satoko, the fiancé of Kazumi. It seemed like a random tragedy, but there was a terrifying method behind the demon's madness. Satoko had been out for a nighttime walk with her fiancé, Kazumi, when suddenly the ground opened up beneath her. The swamp demon dragged her in, killed and devoured her, and in a chilling detail added her hairpin to its growing collection. It was later revealed that the swamp demon targeted only women and that Satoko was just the latest victim that fell into his arms. Hantengu. Hantengu's emotions were eternal, as long as his core remained untouched. Decapitation alone couldn't kill him. The upper rank 4 demon, Hantengu had a terrifying ability. He could turn his emotions into independent demons, each sharing his rank. Their names were Sekiro, Karaku, Aizetsu, Urogi, and Urumi. The catch was these manifestations couldn't be killed by decapitation. They were only vulnerable to sunlight. The only other way was to kill Hantengu himself. Tanjiro and his friends learned this the hard way, while battling the emotions. At one point, Sekiro absorbed Karaku, Aizetsu, and Urogi, forming a new unstoppable entity called Zohakuten. It was so powerful that only Mitsuri, even after awakening her Demon Slayer mark, could hold her ground, and even she was pushed to her absolute limits in the battle against him. While Mitsuri fought Zohakuten, Tanjiro, Genya, and Nezuko searched for Hantengu's original body. Just as he was about to attack some swordsmiths, Tanjiro struck and cut off his head. But it wasn't Hantengu, it was actually Urami, another one of his emotions. Urami kept running without his head. Nezuko quickly jumped in, kicking Tanjiro toward Urami. Tanjiro used his superior sense of smell to figure out his hiding spot inside Urami's heart. And Tanjiro attacked and cut off his head. The Swamp Demon. He was a predator who targeted young women, splitting himself into 3 separate bodies, each with its own twisted personality. Tanjiro stumbled upon him in the middle of an abduction and managed to save what would have been his next victim. He fought and defeated 2 of the demon's forms, while Nezuko took on the 3rd. Tanjiro quickly overpowered the Swamp Demon and demanded information about Muzan Kibutsuchi, but the demon, absolutely terrified, refused to say a word. In the end, Tanjiro cut off his head. Sabito, Makomo, and the rest of Urukodaki's students. It was a massacre born of hatred, but it also set the stage for Tanjiro's growth and resolve. 13 of Urukodaki's apprentices all lost their lives to the Hand Demon. The story doesn't go into detail about how each of them died, but we do know why it happened. The Hand Demon held a deep grudge against Urukodaki for capturing him and taking away his freedom. So he made it his goal to slaughter every student Urukodaki trained. This finally ended when Tanjiro killed him. Hand Demon. He had originally been captured by Sakonji Urukodaki, the very man who later taught Tanjiro water breathing. He had a deep hatred for Urukodaki, and he took his revenge by killing and devouring his students. Tanjiro was supposed to be the 14th victim, but he pulled an Uno reverse card. When he heard about what happened to the other students of Urukodaki, Tanjiro lost his temper and attacked the demon, cutting off its many hands. But one attack from the demon sent him flying and almost knocked him out. Finally, Tanjiro managed to cut off the Hand Demon's head. As the demon faded away, he remembered the brother he had killed. Tanjiro, sensing his sorrow, held his hand and prayed he'd never return as a demon. In the afterlife, the 2 brothers finally reunited, hand in hand. Yhaba's arrows were deadly. He had the terrifying ability to conjure invisible rows that sent his targets flying with destructive force. At first, Tanjiro struggled to keep up, but thanks to a talisman from Tamayo, he was able to see the arrow's movements. With that edge, he unleashed water breathing, second form, landing a devastating slash that cut off Yhaba's head. However, even as he was crumbling away, he kept attacking Tanjiro, hoping to kill him before he died. Tanjiro managed to survive by using breathing techniques continuously, but it left him unable to move. Susamaru. Susamaru was a Tamari demon who attacked Tanjiro and Nezuko when they went to Tamayo's house. She claimed to be one of the 12 demon moons. She accompanied Yhaba. Unlike Yhaba though, she wasn't defeated in battle. She first attacked Tanjiro and was even able to destroy Yushiro's head with one of her attacks. One of her attacks destroyed Nezuko's leg, but Tamayo was able to heal it with some special medicine. Then Nezuko and Susamaru started playing football with each other until Tamayo interrupted the battle by asking about Muzan's true identity. Tamayo used her blood demon art, which caused Susamaru to get confused and accidentally say Muzan's name. This activated a curse, causing multiple arms to come out of Susamaru's body, including a gigantic arm from Susamaru's mouth, which crushed her head. After she died, Tamayo extracted her blood for research and noted that she wasn't a member of the 12 demon moons since she was too weak and there was no number on her eyeballs. Kyogai. A simple act from Tanjiro brought him a rare piece in his final moments. The drum demon had once held the position of lower rank 6, but he had been removed because he'd reached the limits of his own power. Despite his fall from grace, he was still a dangerous foe. Tanjiro faced him in a fierce battle and ultimately decapitated him, ending his life. Yet even in death there was a touch of peace for Kyogai. When Tanjiro refused to step on his carefully arranged notes during the fight, it was a small but meaningful acknowledgement, and in that Kyogai found a final quiet dignity. Mother Spider Demon. Her choice to surrender hinted at a tragic past, and not all demons were purely evil. The Mother Spider Demon was one of the members of the family created by Rui, the lower rank 6. After Tanjiro and Inosuke took down one of her puppets, Inosuke threw Tanjiro straight at her. At first she seemed ready to fight, but then she realized that death might finally bring her freedom, and she chose not to resist. Seeing her hesitation, Tanjiro switched to water breathing, 5th form, Blessed Rain. After the drought, he swiftly cut off her head and ended her suffering. The demon felt no pain, only warmth like a gentle rain. She never imagined death could feel so peaceful. Sun Spider Demon. He was another member of the family Rui had created. The moment he encountered Zenitsu, he poisoned him with one of his spiders, threatening that Zenitsu would turn into a spider too. Terrified, Zenitsu ran around in panic, refusing to fight. He even fainted when he saw his hair starting to fall out. However, once he was unconscious, he managed to fight back, and he cut off the demon's head. Zenitsu's attack was so fast that the demon only had time to be shocked that he was defeated. Father Spider Demon. Giyu's timely intervention saved Inosuke. The Father Spider Demon was in the middle of a fight with Inosuke and seemed on the verge of winning. None of Inosuke's attacks were able to do any damage to the demon, who quickly overpowered Inosuke and caught him in his arms. But just as he was about to choke him to death, Giyu Tomioka showed up and sliced off the demon's arm. When the demon turned to attack Giyu, he was quickly cut into pieces and defeated. Rui. Rui's final memories showed that even the strongest demons carried regrets. He was the lower moon 6, a powerful demon that pushed Tanjiro to his limits. Even after switching from water breathing to the Hinokami Kagura and landing a strike that cut off the demon's head, Tanjiro couldn't defeat him, because Rui had already cut off his own head before Tanjiro could. The sudden switch left Tanjiro paralyzed and vulnerable, and Rui was about to finish him off when Giyu arrived and cut off Rui's head. As Rui's body disintegrated, he regained his human memories for a brief moment, realizing that his parents had loved him. Daughter Spider Demon. Even a demon begging for mercy could turn deadly in an instant. Playing the role of his older sister, when Rui got angry with her, he cut off her head and ordered her to kill the demon slayers on the mountain, promising forgiveness if she obeyed. As she carried out his orders, she trapped a demon hunter in an acid cocoon. That's when Shinobu Koto showed up. Realizing she was about to die, the demon pretended to beg for mercy. Shinobu played along, asking how many people she had killed, and promising that she would be punished according to her crimes, but forgiven afterward. When she heard this, the demon's act of desperation turned to rage, and she lunged at Shinobu, only to be pierced by her sword and killed by the poison in the blade. Enmu. Every trick Enmu used revealed just how creative and cruel some demons could be. After the massacre of the lower moons, Enmu was tasked with killing Tanjiro. His reward if he succeeded was more of Muzan's blood. Using his dream-inducing blood demon art, he put Rengoku, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu to sleep. His plan was to use regular humans to kill the demon slayers while they were dreaming. But one by one, they managed to break free and return to the real world, fighting to protect everyone on the train. Tanjiro and Inosuke tracked down Enmu and cut off his neck. But then came the horrifying reveal. To kill the demon slayers, Enmu merged his body with Mugen Train, and he planned to kill and eat all 200 passengers. Eventually, Tanjiro and Inosuke tracked down Enmu's neck and cut it, destroying Enmu and a part of the train as well. After his defeat, Enmu was inconsolable. He lashed out at Tanjiro and Inosuke, blaming them for his defeat, throwing a full-blown tantrum over losing. Omitsu. His bravery came at a deadly cost, showing just how merciless Daki could be. Omitsu was a manager of the Kyogoku house in Tokyo. We don't see much of her, but in a brief appearance, she confronted Daki, completely unaware that Daki was a demon. Omitsu called her out for bullying the other girls so severely that some had even taken their own lives. She pulled out a knife, demanding answers. That's when Daki revealed her true form. She wrapped Omitsu in her deadly slashes, lifted her hair into the air and then let go, sending Omitsu falling to her death. Even as his head fell, Gyokko's monstrous creativity left a lasting shadow over the village. Gyokko was the upper rank 5 demon. After arriving at the swordsmith village, Gyokko killed a swordsmith and revealed his grotesque art, a collection of mutilated, still-living swordsmiths stitched together. He then ambushed Muichiro Tokito, trapping him in a water prison pot and leaving him to drown. While Gyokko tried to break Hotaru's concentration through torture, Muichiro escaped, awakened his Slayer mark, and returned to battle. Despite Gyokko's terrifying transformation and blood demon arts, Muichiro effortlessly outclassed him and ended the fight by cutting off his head. Even after his defeat, Gyokko couldn't stop taunting Muichiro. In response, Muichiro sliced his head into pieces. Kage Ubuyashiki and family. Oyakata-sama's sacrifice set the stage for the final confrontation with Muzan. Kage, the leader of the Demon Slayer Corps, was known to everyone as Oyakata-sama, and he and his family made the ultimate sacrifice, blowing themselves up in a desperate attempt to wound Muzan. They even rigged the explosion with spike traps to slow his regeneration. After their deaths, the Demon Slayer Corps rushed to his house, hoping to strike back, but they walked straight into a trap as Muzan and Nakime trapped the pillars inside the Infinity Castle. Shinobu Kocho. Even in apparent defeat, Shinobu had a secret weapon that could turn the tables. The insect Hashira wasn't as physically strong as the other Hashira, so she created her own style, using a stinger-like blade to inject demons with poison. She was also a genius healer, even saving Zenitsu during the spider demon fight. But her biggest test came in the Infinity Castle, when she faced Doma, upper rank 2. He mocked her by killing his own disciple in front of her, then easily countered her speed and venom. On the surface it looked like Shinobu lost, because he killed and absorbed her, but in reality she had been preparing for this fight all along. By ingesting wisteria poison every day for a year, she turned her body into a weapon. When Doma devoured her, he unknowingly consumed a massive dose of poison, her final, deadly trump card. Jigoro Kuwajima. He was once a Thunder Hashira, the mentor of both Zenitsu and Kaigaku, but when he learned Kaigaku had betrayed everything and became a demon, the shame was too much to bear. He committed seppuku, but tragically he was alone. With no one to end his suffering, he died slowly, spending his final hours in agonizing pain. Kaigaku. His fall showed how easily darkness could corrupt even the most talented warriors. Kaigaku, like Zenitsu, was a student of Jigoro, but unlike Zenitsu, he betrayed the Demon Slayer Corps. After meeting Kokushibo, he joined Muzan's side and became the new upper rank 6, taking place of Daki and Gyutaro. During the Infinity Castle arc, he faced Zenitsu in a fierce battle, unleashing all his thunder-breathing techniques one after the other. But Zenitsu had a secret of his own, a brand new move, the 7th form, Flaming Thunder God. With it, he defeated Kaigaku. Kaigaku flew into a rage when Zenitsu unveiled a new technique, accusing their teacher of favoritism for teaching Zenitsu what he hadn't taught him. Zenitsu explained that it was a form that he had created himself, so that one day he could stand and fight alongside Kaigaku. Akaza. Even after losing his head, he refused to die. What force pushed him to finally give in? Akaza, the upper rank 3 demon, had once narrowly escaped death after his fight with Rengoku, running away when the sun began to rise. During the Infinity Castle arc, he ran into Giyu and Tanjiro, and the battle was brutal. Akaza inflicted serious injuries on both of them, but Tanjiro tapped into a new ability, the see-through world, which allowed him to fight with precision and even bypass Akaza's battle sensing techniques. Using this advantage, Tanjiro managed to decapitate Akaza. The demon tried to reattach his head, but Giyu threw his sword, destroying it. But then, Akaza evolved and continued fighting, regenerating his head. It wasn't until memories of his former fiancé surfaced that he finally admitted defeat. In a moment of clarity, he used his own technique to destroy himself, refusing to regenerate, and accepted that he had lost fair and square. Doma. He thought he was untouchable, then the poison hit. Being upper rank 2, after he absorbed Shinobu, he was attacked by Kanawa and Inosuke. During the battle, he revealed that he had killed and ate Inosuke's mom because she discovered that she was eating his disciples and tried to escape. Then he tried to leave the area. He created a bunch of ice clones to fight on his behalf. When he was about to leave, the wisteria poison kicked in and melted his face off. In a flashback, it was revealed that he had eaten 37 kilograms worth of wisteria poison, which was 70 times the lethal amount. Doma collapsed as his bones were melting, and he desperately tried to heal himself. As he grew weaker, the ice clones that he had created shattered by themselves, but Doma still had a lot of strength remaining. He unleashed his final technique, the water lily bodhisattva. Kanao pushed herself and used the final form of flower breathing, and struck his neck, but she wasn't able to cut it off. Then Inosuke threw both his katana at Doma's neck, which helped her push her sword through Doma's neck, finally cutting it off. As he passed, he saw Shinobu and confessed his love, even asking if she wanted to go to hell with him. Muichiro Tokito. He was only 14, but he was still able to severely wound Kokushibo, the strongest upper moon. However, he paid for that with his life. Muichiro the Mist Hashira carried the bloodline of Kokushibo himself, though that only made their encounter more terrifying. When he first faced Kokushibo, fear gripped him, but he still stepped forward to fight. Early in the clash, he lost his left hand, but he refused to back down. Pinned to a pillar with Kokushibo's blade, Muichiro was given the same offer others had heard: become a demon. But his answer was firm: he would never betray humanity. When Gyomei and Sanemi joined the battle, Muichiro pushed past his pain and leapt back in. With one final surge of resolve, he managed to pierce Kokushibo with his blade, creating the opening Genya needed to unleash his own blood demon art and bind the monster. But Kokushibo's power was overwhelming. His counterattack was so immense it sliced Muichiro in half, and even with such injuries, Muichiro held on, even turning his blade red, which caused severe damage to Kokushibo. This hurt him long enough for Sanemi and Gyomei to attack and cut off his head. Though he played an important role in defeating Kokushibo, he was severely wounded. He died from his wounds shortly before Kokushibo was defeated. Genya Shinazugawa. He couldn't even use breathing styles, but he still held his own against one of the strongest demons in existence. The younger brother of Sanemi was unlike any other demon slayer. He couldn't use breathing techniques, so he fought with a shotgun, or as we like to call it, American breathing, first form. He could also eat demon flesh to gain their powers. During the battle with Kokushibo, he even devoured part of the demon's flesh, katana, unlocking a strange blood demon art that let him fire binding, flesh-grown trees from his shotgun. Even after suffering horrific injuries, which included losing half his face, Genya held on long enough to trap Kokushibo, giving his allies the opening to strike. He died from his injuries shortly after Kokushibo was killed. His body crumpled away, just like a demon. Tamayo. The first to escape Muzan's control, and she sacrificed everything to strike at the source of all darkness. She is one of the rare demons who defied Muzan. Instead of hunting humans, she survived on donated blood and devoted herself to research. She was also able to break free from Muzan's curse. As one of the oldest demons, her knowledge of demon biology was unmatched. By the final battle, she had developed a drug meant to weaken Muzan, and when the chance came, she injected it into him. For a moment, it seemed like she had turned the tide. But Muzan's power was overwhelming. He tore her apart and crushed her head, ending her life. Nakime. What happens when a demon's power is used against its master? Towards the end of the Infinity Castle arc, Yushida took control of Nakime in an attempt to avenge Tamayo's death. He used her powers to bring the castle up to the surface, planning to expose Muzan to sunlight. When Muzan realized this, he killed her by shattering her head. Her death caused the Infinity Castle to collapse. Gyomei Himajima. He gave everything to hold back a godlike force, pushing himself to the brink to hold the Demon King in the sunlight. He even lost a leg in the fight. After Muzan's death, despite his critical injuries and blood loss, he refused help. In his final moments, he found peace, seeing the spirits of the orphans he couldn't protect, guiding him to heaven. Giyu Tomioka. He survived the Demon King, but the mark sealed his fate. He survived the final battle against Muzan with severe injuries, even losing an arm. But like many others, including Tanjiro and Sanemi, he had the Demon Slayer mark, which meant that he died by his 25th birthday, off screen. Mitsuri and obanai. What made it truly heartbreaking was that their love barely had a chance to bloom. They died almost as soon as they confessed it to each other. Mitsuri, Kanroji, and obanai Igoro both fell during the final battle against Muzan. Mitsuri lost both her arms, and the resulting blood loss claimed her life. Obanai, blinded in the fight, held her in his arms as she passed in those final moments. They confessed their love, Mitsuri asking him to marry her in the next life, and Obanai promising to always protect her. Mitsuri died first, and shortly after that, Obanai died as well. Muzan. In the end, his oldest weakness became his executioner. Muzan died thanks to the combined efforts of the Demon Slayers and Tamayo's drug. Tamayo had created a powerful multi-stage drug designed specifically to weaken him. It forced him into a human form, aged him rapidly, stopped his cells from regenerating, and ultimately destroyed him at a cellular level. Once weakened, Tanjiro and the others forced Muzan into the sunlight, his ultimate vulnerability, burning him alive and completely destroying his body. Even as he was dying, Muzan tried to transfer his remaining blood and powers to Tanjiro, hoping to turn him into a demon with no weaknesses. But Nezuko and Kanao intervened in time, bringing Tanjiro back to his human self before the transformation could take hold. Sanemi Shinazugawa. He was literally on the doorstep of death, but came back to life with a ticking clock. He barely survived the battle against Muzan, teetering on the edge of death. Even though he made it through the Infinity Castle arc, the curse that comes with activating the Demon Slayer mark still hung over him, dooming him to death by his 25th birthday, off-screen. Yoriichi. He was a legend among legends. Yoriichi was a force of nature. Unlike others who had to train hard to unlock their Demon Slayer mark in Transparent World, he was born with the ability to use both. He was also the origin of the sun-breathing technique which he tried to teach to the other Demon Slayers. After a long life hunting demons, Yoriichi came across his brother, who had become a demon. He had tears in his eyes seeing his brother in such a condition. He attacked Kokoshiba, wounding him. Interestingly, his techniques had the same power and speed that they had when he was in his prime. However, before he could attack, he died a natural death from old age as he stood on his feet. Tanjiro Kamado. Everyone thought Tanjiro died, but Muzan had one final trick up his sleeve. He actually did die in the final battle against Muzan. A member of the Demon Slayer Corps confirms his death, saying that he wasn't breathing and that he had no pulse. But Muzan brought him back to life by pouring all his blood and strength into him. In the battle that followed, Kanao used a final form of Breath of Flower to avoid his attacks, and injected him with the medicine, turning him back into a human. However, since he had the Demon Slayer mark, he was doomed to die. Unnamed Demon Slayers. They threw themselves at Muzan just so the best among them could have a chance. During the Infinity Castle arc, as Muzan absorbed Tamayo, several Demon Slayers bravely charged at him, but each one was instantly killed and devoured. Even in the final battle, countless swordsmen threw themselves into the fray, sacrificing their lives just to give the Hashira a chance to keep fighting. It was relentless, horrifying, and showed just how far they were willing to go to take down the Demon King. And here are all the breathing styles that were used to fight demons.